Okay, sit yourself onto your left. Just come up into good cross leg position. Oh, I can switch my light off. And come into cross legs. So just seated on a cushion or on some blocks or on a folded blanket. Just something that gives you a little bit of elevation underneath the seat bones. Hold onto your knees, a little wriggle about. Just make sure that you feel evenly positioned on the seat bones. Maybe just move the seat bones out to the side a little, or move the flesh out to the side a little. And then hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, and then lengthen your shoulders away from your ears. Just spend a moment just to acknowledge the weight on the seat bones, adjusting if you find it necessary. Lift up into the chest, draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. And keep your eyes still in the sockets. As you inhale and exhale, listen into the breath. Filling your lungs from the bottom to the top, and emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. Squeeze the elbows together into the heels of the hands, and then from the heels of the hands up into the fingertips. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just observe sensations around the shoulders and the neck, and work to lengthen the shoulders away from your ears, lengthen the neck into the head, lengthen the armpits into the elbows. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Keep the chin down in contact with the chest and just stretch out the back of the neck. Just spend a moment to acknowledge that feeling of abundance in the heart area. And hold on to that feeling as you raise your head and open your eyes. Just hold on to your knees, lift up into the heart area, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation, and with an exhalation, draw your chin forwards and down to meet the chest again. Lift the chest up to meet the chin. Make a really good contact between the chin and the chest. And then consciously lengthen the shoulders down away from your ears so you stretch out the back of the neck. Just go back to the seat bones. Just acknowledge the balance of the seat bones. Addressing imbalance by adjusting the position of the torso between the two hips if necessary. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose, and then with the exhalation, keeping the shoulders down, bring the chin up to meet the chest, and then push the chin all the way to the ceiling, feeling the stretch at the front of the neck. So you're giving yourself a really good stretch along the muscles of the front of the neck, of the chin. Pushing that chin to the ceiling, drawing the shoulders down. Take a deep inhalation and then bring the chin forwards and down to meet the chest. Lengthening the shoulders away from the back of the head. And then with an exhalation, raise the chin back up to the ceiling. Just a really good stretch of the front of the chin, the front of the neck. And then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation just with the head looking forwards. Take a deep inhalation and then bring the right ear down towards the right shoulder, but keeping the two shoulders away from the ears. Maybe just bring the chin up to the ceiling a little. Take a deep in breath. And with the out breath, come back to the center, so it's making me yawn, and then bring the left ear over to the left side. Feeling the right side of the chin, right side of the neck extending. Maybe drawing the chin up towards the ceiling a little. Take a deep inhalation and then bring the right ear over to the side. Just stretching out the neck. Just feel the lungs from the bottom to the top, and then bring the left ear over to the left side. Just giving yourself a really good stretch of the neck. And then come back to the center. Just hold on to your knees, lift up into your chest, and this time bring your chin, draw it forward slightly, and then draw it over to the left side, so it's kind of pointing towards that right shoulder. Did I say left side? Right side. Bring the chin over to the right side. So just gently keeping the chest just looking forward. And then come back to the center and then over to the left. Or to the other side if you did the other side first. And then back to the center and then drawing the chin across one more time to the right side. Just feeling the stretch of the neck muscles as you turn. And then come back to the center and draw the chin over to the left side. Just feeling how you're warming up your neck. And then come back to the center. This time we're going to turn, but I want you to keep your chin strictly in line with your chest. So when you turn, you're turning from your shoulders, not from your neck, because that's could potentially strain your neck. So hold on to your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right, drawing your abdomen right across. Your abdomen and your ribs and your shoulders. Just breathing in through the nose, using the out breath to intensify the turn, keeping the chin just directly in line with the collarbone, turning from the shoulders and the ribs and the abdomen. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. And then with an exhalation, turn all the way around to the left side. Drawing your abdomen across. Your ribs and your shoulders. Just warming up the spine. Try and get the belly button to point at that left knee and beyond it. Come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, and then one more time turn to the right. Drawing the abdomen across, the ribs and the shoulders. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto the knees, elevate the heart area upwards. And then turn one more time to the left. And then come back to the center. Just come off your lift, but stay in cross legs and have a block either side of the hips. So you can be in cross legs, or if you want to go into half padmasana on the floor, then that's fine as well. Just going to do sukhasana, just to stretch out the chest a little more after we've been turning it. Take a deep inhalation and then bring the right hand underneath the right knee and bring the elbow down onto the block. So the elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. That's important. So there's real stability there. So elbow, shoulder, and then push that elbow really deeply into the block so that then you can lengthen across into that left seat bone. So you're not kind of losing contact with that left seat bone. You're pushing that elbow into the floor and then lengthening across into that left seat bone. And then have the hand on the hip, draw the chest up to face the ceiling. And then keeping that seat bone down on the floor as much as you possibly can to maximize the stretch. Reach up and over, looking underneath the armpit. Pushing the elbow into the floor, lengthening into that left seat bone, feeling that intense stretch along the left side of the body. The more you work that left seat bone down, the more intense that stretch across that left side becomes. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And then hold onto the underside of your knee, and then bring your left knee down onto the block. Again, push that elbow really firmly into the floor so that you can lengthen it across into that right hip. Draw the abdomen across and then reach up and over, feeling that intense stretch across the right side of the body. Listening to the breath. And then come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Just stay at this stage if you've got a bad back. Otherwise, bring your blocks forwards. Hold onto the knees, lift up from the abdomen into the diaphragm region. Keep that lift as you come forwards, hinging at the hips, keeping the head lifted, and then stretch forwards. Bring the hands onto the blocks and stretch forwards. So keep the seat bones down onto the floor if you possibly can. Turn the tailbone in, lengthen the sacrum area of the back, the part between the lumbar and the tailbone. Stretching forwards, lengthening forwards. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. And then walk your hands back, just hold onto the knees and lift up into the chest. And then just swap the crossing of your legs, whichever. If you're doing normal svastikasana, just swap the legs around. If you're doing half padmasana, swap the legs around. And then just feel that lifting up just immediately feels a little unusual. Maybe it feels like you're sitting like kind of like this or something. So just feel that you can just maybe move that buttock flesh out to the side a little, just so that you find some levelness at the seat bones, levelness first, and then lift up into the chest, lifting the abdomen up to the diaphragm region and maintaining that lift as you come forward, and then stretching your hands out in front, keeping the hands on the blocks unless you can go all the way down, but we're just doing initial limbering stretches, so don't overdo it to start off with. It's not a competition. Just work with the ability of your body, observing that ability. Lengthening the sacrum spine down into the tailbone. Listening to the breath. And then walk your hands back and then come back into cross legs, just holding onto the knees, lifting up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards. And then come off your seat bones and sit back on your heels. So sitting back on your heels just helps to just soften out the legs. So if your legs are tired, if you've been on your feet a lot, then sitting like this in virasana is a good remedy. It helps to bring energy back into the legs. So just let gravity do the work to start off with. Just let the feet sink into the floor, and that can be uncomfortable if you're not used to it. So just let the body release into the ground if necessary. You can just put an extra lift, like a folded blanket underneath the shins if the tops of your feet are hurting. Just wriggle into the inner heels. Lift up into the chest, and then stretch your arms behind you. Stretch your arms behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lengthen from your shoulders into the fingertips, and then really spread the palms. And the palms broad, stretching the thumbs down towards the floor and the little fingers up towards the ceiling, stretching the other fingers away from the palms of the hand, palms facing each other. Lift the heart area upwards, lift the abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the collarbone, lifting the heart area upwards, and then holding onto an imaginary box of air, and then presenting that box of air up to the ceiling as you come down and come forwards. Come forwards. As soon as you start to lose contact between the seat bones and the heels, let that box of air dissolve, and then just bring the hands forward. Spread the fingers, spread the palms. Turn the tailbone in. Listen to the breath. Lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. And then come up onto your knees, have your little fingers on the edge of the mat, stretch the thumbs toward each other, turn the palms, turn the toes under, and then come up into dog down, feeling that stretch at the back of the legs, so straightening the legs as soon as the body will allow, pushing the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees, pushing the fronts of the thighs into the fronts of the thigh muscles into the thigh bone, pressing the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs. Just listening to the breath. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. And then step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. And then get a couple of blocks for your hands. And bring your feet as wide apart as your mat, turning your toes inwards. Have your hands on your hips, lift the abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the collarbone. Squeeze in the elbows towards each other. Again, lengthening the shoulders away from your ears. Lifting the heart area upwards and then come forwards, hinging at the hips. Driving the chin and the chest forwards. And then turn your toes inwards. Spread your toes. Hit the shins into the backs of the calves so that your weight goes into your heels. Just feel that your feet are acting evenly, that your legs are acting evenly, that your chin and your chest and your abdomen are acting evenly away from the legs. Hit the fronts of the thighs into the backs of the thighs. Lengthen down, come down onto the blocks, a little lower if you can. If your back is stiff or sensitive, then just stay on the higher lift. Lengthen into the torso from the hips. If you can come down lower, but not at the expense of bringing all of your weight into your hands like this. Keep hitting your legs back so that your weight remains in your heels, and then lengthen the chin and the chest forwards. If you can reach around the backs of your heels, then do, but keep the legs straight. Keep the kneecaps tightened. So lift the fronts of the thighs, push the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, lift the back of the knee all the way up the back of the thigh up towards the seat bones, lift the seat bones up towards the ceiling, so straight legs, no bending of the knees. So Ruth, see if you can keep your legs straight. Tighten those kneecaps, lift the thighs up towards the ceiling. And bring your hands into your hips and then come up into the standing position. So that is quite a long limbering sequence, isn't it? But sometimes it's good just to focus on those initial stretches, because especially if you've got stiff shoulders and neck, it's good sometimes to just give yourself time to stretch yourself out. Just scan the body for areas of discomfort, for areas of freedom. Listening to the in-breath, listening to the out-breath. Stretch your arms forwards without pushing your chest forwards. Keep the chest hitting back, keep the legs hitting back so that your weight remains in the heels. So you don't push your weight forwards into your toes as you stretch your arms forwards. Turn the palms all the way out, reach behind you, keep your arms high for as long as you can, and then bend your elbows at the last minute. Bring the tips of your fingers together and then just walk your fingers up towards your neck. Now they'll probably just end up being like this to start off with. So just get the fingertips together, get the fingers towards the neck, and then stretch the fingers up towards the neck. And then draw your elbows towards the back of the room behind you. And then lengthen from your shoulders into your elbows, and then bring the elbows together so that the heels of the hands come together, so that the palms come together. And then lift up into the chest, namaskarasana. So you can just get hold of the opposite shoulder, opposite elbow. If this is not possible, Just stretch the fingers up to the ceiling, lift the chest. Just feel what has happened with the balance of your feet. Has it gone into your toes? Or can you keep the legs in Tadasana, turning them inwards, hitting the shins back so that your weight is in your heels? And then just gently, maybe drop the chest a little, and then release, just lifting up into the chest. Spread your fingers. So sometimes there's a temptation to, shake your fingers, but stretch the fingers, spread the palms. Stretch your arms out in front, turn the palms all the way out. And then the second time coming into namaskarasana is always a little easier. So just maybe you can walk your fingers up a little bit higher and then wing the elbows back behind you. Lengthen from the shoulders into the elbows and draw the heels of the hands together. Lift up into the chest. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Listen to the breath. Just opening up the chest, opening up the hips. And from there, step or jump your feet apart, nice and wide. Turn your left toes in a lot, as much as you can. Turn the right foot all the way out. And then pick up that heel of that back foot and turn it out a little more, so that you can straighten your legs. And can you Tadasana-ize your legs? Tighten the kneecaps, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Bring that back leg hip forwards. Lengthen up into the chest. And then come forwards, hinging at the hips, lifting the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. You can always release your arms if you need to. Reach down to the floor, come into parsvottanasana, with the hands on the floor. Or come all the way down. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Keeping the legs firmly in Tadasana. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, keeping the jaw and the tongue and the throat soft. And then come back to the center. Come up to the top. And then step. Jump the feet back together. And then release the arms. Stretch into the fingers. Spread into the palms. Turn the palms and the upper arms in the sockets all the way out. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then release. So if you need to let go of your hands behind your back, then have some blocks on the right side. Perhaps I should have said that last time. So if you release your arms, you've got somewhere to reach down to if you need to. Come back into Tadasana. Just feel where the weight of your heels are. What is? Stretch your arms forwards. Again, stretch your arms forwards, but try not to hit your weight into your toes. Hit your weight into your heels. So it's almost like you become this, your arms become this kind of cantilever, balancing the body. So it's almost like you can lean back. I don't want you to lean back, but keep the back straight, keep the chest lifted. Turn the palms all the way out and then reach around behind you. And then the third time, your hands will probably shoot up, maybe not, but you know, it's good to be optimistic, isn't it? Lengthen the elbows back, lengthen the shoulders into the elbows into the heels of the hands, so that the hands come together behind the back. Step or jump your feet apart nice and wide with the legs, and then turn the right toes in steeply, turn the left foot all the way out, and then turn that right heel all the way out. And then work to really firmly Tadasanaise the legs, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, lift up into the chest, and then lengthen forwards, coming forwards down into parsvottanasana. Lengthening the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. And then come back to the centre. Bring the feet parallel. I think my feet weren't quite wide enough in that, but never mind. Come back, bring the feet together, and then just release. Your hands spread, the fingers spread the palms. Just breathe into the nose, in and out of the nose. Listen to the sound of the breath as it exits and enters. And then raise your arms up. Just raise your arms up. Hook the thumbs into the crease of the elbows. Bring your feet at least hip width apart. Turn your toes in. If you've got a bad back, just come forwards, hinging at the hips, coming halfway. Just resting your elbows on the back of a chair or top of a table. Otherwise, just come down and hang down into uttanasana. And then release your hands down to the floor. Take a deep inhalation, bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up, and then come up into Tadasana. Just come down onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. Just feeling all of that space in the armpits. Feeling maybe that the shoulders perhaps have eased up a little, maybe not, but just observe how they feel right now. Can you turn the crease, the armpits out to the sides of the room? Keeping the arms straight, keeping the fingers stretching away, feeling lightness in the pose. Just keep the left foot where it is, bend the right knee, bring the right knee to the right wrist, bring the left foot out to the side, just coming into rajakapotasana. So coming down onto the floor, stretching that left foot away, come up onto the fingertips, and then lift up into the chest, lengthening into that back foot, turning that back leg in Tadasana so that the hips are level, lengthening up into the heart area, shoulders away from your ears, lengthening the chin to the ceiling. And then bring the heels of the hands down, turn the toes in. If it's too strong to come back up into dog down, then just come back onto all fours and just wait there until we do the next stage. Otherwise, turn the toes under and then come up into dog down. And then keep the left foot where it is, sorry, the right foot where it is, bend the right knee to make contact with the right wrist. Bring the right foot underneath the left hip, stretch that right leg away, come up onto the fingertips, and then lengthen up into the chest, feeling that tremendous stretch along the right side of the abdomen. Lifting up into the chest, tadasanaising that back leg to keep the hips level, pushing the knees apart from each other or away from each other. And then bring the heels of the hands down, turn your toes under, step in a little bit with that back leg, and then either come down onto all fours or step yourself back into dog down. And then come down onto your knees, sit back on your heels, just lift up into your chest, lengthening the chest to the ceiling, drawing the shoulders down, and then come forwards, hinging at the hips, and then lengthen forwards, lengthen into Adho Mukha Virasana. And then release your hands underneath your shoulders, and then sit back on your heels, lift up into your chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then get a bolster, or if you haven't got a bolster, just use some cushions, and you're just going to sit on the bolster. But before we do that, we're going to arrange our blanket for our head. So we're just going to do the restorative bridge pose, which is a variation of Setu Bandha. So get your blanket so it's folded like that. So we usually fold it like that for like a little cushion. So unfold it so it's longer, and then roll the end of the blanket up so it's a bit like a Swiss roll, so it's firm but it kind of stays in place. So that is going to be there for your neck. So just come down onto the floor to start off with, and then just feel how that bolster blanket feels in your neck, and just adjust it until it feels like it's stable. It's not going to kind of cause a feeling of restriction. And then when you feel like the support under the neck is sufficient, then lift the seat bones and then slide the bolster underneath your lumbar back, and then just guide yourself down. And again, adjust the blanket if it feels uncomfortable under your neck. It should feel supportive, should really feel like it softens tension from your neck. And then just have your arms out to the sides. And then release into the pose. So this restorative bridge pose with support underneath the neck. So if you find that your kind of chest sinks a little in this, then just move the bolster up your back a little more, just to encourage a more open chest. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. So this pose really eases out tension from the shoulders and the neck. Just listen to the breath. So all the shoulder opening poses we have done brings openness into the chest as well as to the shoulders. So you could say they're all chest opening poses. So just let gravity do its thing. Don't try and extend. Just allow the body to relax instead. Relaxation is such a valuable part of our day that we absolutely forget to pay heed to. It's so essential to have relaxation time because the body releases endorphins when we relax. The body lets go of stress chemicals which are really damaging for the heart and for the blood pressure and for the brain. So giving ourselves even just a couple of minutes just to surrender into the floor, but with equipment in the right place, with support in the right place, then that relaxation becomes really, truly restorative. So restorative poses are never just conking out on the ground. I mean, they kind of are, but there's so much more to it. There's so many more benefits to it. And so maybe if the bolster underneath the neck was feeling a little odd at the beginning, eventually maybe if you surrender into it, if you let the body release into it, as long as it's in the right place, maybe the neck feels like it really appreciates the support. So let the body really consciously release into the supports. Soften out the tension of the neck. Okay, just stay with the rolled up blanket underneath your neck if you can, and then just lift the bolster, slide the bolster away just so that it's underneath the backs of your legs, and then just release into the ground. You can keep the rolled up blanket underneath your neck, or if that doesn't feel good anymore, then just undo the roll and then just have the blanket just underneath your head. Just resting into the floor. Just resting into sirvasana, just letting the neck release. Head release. And just bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, and then pull your knees into the chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, and then roll onto your right side. Stretch out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti. Or actually just hold onto your knees for a moment, lift up into the chest, and then gently, briefly turn to the right side. And then back to the centre, and then around to the left. And then come back to the centre. Hold onto your knees. Lift the hands into the masti. Draw your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Feel the lungs from the bottom to the top, and draw the energy of the breath into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. Connecting the chin to the chest, just acknowledge that positive energy and send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. Just connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy, you stretched out your neck and your shoulders, and hopefully you feel like you've had a good old stretch. So thank you very much for joining me.